Satellite Live. Hello and welcome to another edition of Satellites Live with me, Martin, him, Charles, and her, Hannah. How are you guys? How are you, Charles?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you? Sorry, I default to asking how someone else is when someone asks me how I am.
Yeah, but how are you, Charles?
How are you really, Charles?
It's been a tough week. Um, I've 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 discovered, rediscovered that I have hay fever. Um, and my mum had an operation a couple of weeks ago, and she's fine. And and she got given a lot of flowers, which means that it's just full of flowers, and I'm just not having a nice time. So
Your house is full of flowers
it's just
at
full
the
of
moment
flowers.
where you've rediscovered hay fever.
And it's awful because I'm like, oh, like I'm allergic to flowers. Get them out of here. And she's like, oh, have you taken your antihistamine? I'm like, well, yeah, no, I haven't because it's February, March. Like,
That
also,
sounds
like,
difficult
my
for you.
sister's allergic to nuts, and we remove nuts from the house whenever she comes. Do you know what I mean? But when it comes to flowers, oh, it's harmful. It's harmless or whatever. Yeah.
I feel like there's a pitch to be made for like a Charles Merritt sitcom. Like just hilarious things happen to you or awkward things happen to you all the time. I feel like I could see it now. I can hear the theme music. Wah 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 wah. Charles. And
I
then you.
don't like the what. It just makes me feel like I'm slow and ploddy. That's
Sorry, that's the theme music. I didn't choose it. It was the network. Hannah, how are you?
I'm really good. I also have hay fever, but I don't feel the need to go on about it. So that I'm great. I love flowers. So there we go. How are you, Martin?
Wow, shots fired. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. As you can tell, I hope I am. I'm in the amazing surroundings of the church centre again. It's only when you put a camera here you realise how boring the church centre is. Like, no offence to all the people who spent millions of pounds on it, but it's quite dull. Like this heatomizer. It's called a heatomizer. What even is that? That's like the most interesting feature. Everything else is just blank walls. You know, maybe we should like when we get back in here, maybe we could like paint some murals or something.
I'd love that. Let's do it.
The clergy don't watch this, do they?
Not anymore. I think they started at the beginning of lockdown, and then, like many people, have given up by season 3.
Well, look, there's so much good stuff to look forward to this evening. It's lovely to have you with us. We can see lots of you are watching. Do say hello in the chat, or if you're part of the WhatsApp group, say hello on there as well. We're going to be talking this evening about what it means to spend time with God, but we're also going to be doing some hilarious quizzes. Looking forward to the quizzes. And also we've got part 2 of our poll, What Are You Waiting For? Where we might get Charles to make up a theme tune, I feel. Yeah, I think by the end of the show, we'll have a theme tune for What Are You Waiting For?
Well, there's
Good.
already a great Ellie Goulding song, which we could just.
You can't just co-opt somebody else's theme tune.
No, he
Oh.
can. He can recite that. That's a good song. That's got lots of high bits. I think you should do that. That's great.
Okay, great. We'll do that.
So shall we start with the notices?
Oh, I love a notice.
Charles, why don't you kick us off?
I'd love to. Do you remember the times pre-COVID where you would gather in the foyer where Martin is sat, and you would tuck into a bacon butty or a eggy bread? I don't know why I'm so slow on this. But Breakfast and Bible is back, although it's not back as it normally is. You don't get breakfast for free. You just have to make it yourself. So I guess it's cereal again. But that's fine. And so you can do the breakfast stuff on your own time. But there is the Bible stuff is being provided via Zoom. How exciting. And it is before church, as always, but at 10 o'clock rather than the ridiculous 9 o'clock or whatever time it was before, where you were like, oh, I don't want to get up at that time. Well, now it's 10 o'clock, which seems perfectly reasonable. And you can do that. And that fills in that awkward half an hour space before church. And you can go along to that. And you have to sign up on Church Suite. You can't just rock up. Don't message anyone for the code. They ain't going to give it to you. Okay? You've got to sign up on Church Suite for the link. Martin said to be nice. And that was me being nice. So don't want to find out what happens when I'm angry. And at 10:30, there's the service, as always, on YouTube, on the St. Mary's YouTube channel.
Great stuff. Thanks, Charles. You were full committed to the notices there. I love that. You brought everything. A couple of things to say. First of all, if you're not part of our WhatsApp groups, but you'd like to be added, you just need to get your parents to send me an email. That should be fairly obvious, but it's on the church website on Church Suite. You send me an email and I'll add you to our WhatsApp groups. Also, we occasionally post on Instagram. Did we do it last week? Did we post on Instagram? Yes, we posted on Instagram last week. We are Satellites_youth. Is that right? Are we St. Mary's _satellites?
That one now. Yeah, we like to change every so often.
We're on Instagram. We're not on TikTok. Also, far be it from me to plug my own work, but I wrote a book which came out during the end of last year. There it is. We are Satellites. You may notice the resemblance to the name of this group. There is obviously a dedication to you fair folk at the front of the book, but also there's lots of good stuff in there about what it means to follow Jesus. So if you kind of want to, there it is, look, if you want to kind of get your head around the basics of what we believe in this group, then that book is a handy place to start. So you can get it. Charles is pretending to find it. Look at you. It's like an audition tape. You're showing your full range. I love this.
I'm out of here after this.
Anyway, you can get it in all the usual places. That's the end of that. Hannah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just admiring your acting skills, Charles. Orbit is everywhere. It's on the St. Mary's website. It's got its own little button because that's how beautiful and precious it is. So what it is, it's a weekly, daily devotional type thing. It's really easy to engage with. Martin reads it out for you in a beautiful, like audiobook worthy voice. I don't know how he does it because it's not what he sounds like on here, but he uses lovely tones. So it's very easy to listen to. Or if you don't want to hear his voice, it's written out on the St. Mary's website as well. And it's really short, really easy to listen to, but it's got some really good wisdom. It's got a little bit of Bible, a little bit of Martin explaining it and working out what it means, and then it's got a little bit of what we can do with it. So it's got everything you need to kind of kick off your day and actually be thinking about God and growing your faith in this time. But it's really short, so I personally listen to it in the shower. I hope that's not weird. It's just a good time. You can fit it in at any time. Brushing your teeth, feeding the dog, I don't know. It's really good to listen to, and I'm laughing about it, but it is a really good way to start your day. So it's on Spotify. If you just search St. Mary's Reigate and Orbit, it should come up, or its own special orange button on the St. Mary's website.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, everyone. So there ended the notices. We're all thrilled because we haven't crashed YouTube yet, and that means we're all feeling a lot better than last week. Shall we do a Kahoot?
Sure, why not?
Great stuff. Okay, so the code you'll need, obviously, I'm assuming everyone knows what Kahoot is. We don't even do a Kahoot notice anymore, but you'll need the code, which is 7871774, sort of imaginary points for creative names, particularly anything that references Charles's upcoming sitcom series. That'd be great. 2 Ruperts. That's a strong start.
That is a strong start.
Rupert Sheep and Rupert Fire.
I think that's a goat rather than a sheep.
Oh, Rupert Goat, Rupert Fire. Is that like Rupert's upgraded Pokemon card? You start off as Rupert Goat, but then you upgrade to Rupert Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Heatomizer! That's good callback already. Well done. I saw Spoon on there. I'm just going to mention that's a callback to Series 1.
One. I love the fact that we have series of YouTube.
Who's COVID testing? That's sad.
Oh.
Sad Donald.
Lateral flow does sound like a dance move, though. Just me. Do the lateral flow. Woo!
I feel like lateral flow sounds like a funk band.
Yeah.
Brummy Servant. Charles is good, or Charles is? I hope that's not Charles is God. That's too far.
That is too far.
Someone's gone for C.H.A.R.L.E.S, and I'm wondering
What does that stand for?
What does that stand for? If anyone wants to tell us on any of the chats, we will read it out. This is great. Okay, good. Just give it a couple more moments.
It's always worth holding on because people come in.
Your favourite has not yet arrived, Ollie. I'm just going to put that out
I'm
there.
really sad. However,
Yeah.
I have entered this week. Am I allowed to do that? Is that
What,
a
as
thing?
producer?
Yeah, I don't know the answers. You
I've
know?
also entered, by the way. I'm
Are
actually
you
playing too.
Who are you?
I
I
was-
bet you're Charles's #1 fan.
I wasn't actually. I was Heatomizer, which already got. Oh, I was well excited.
What is that emoji name? What is
Well,
that?
it's flowers and blowing your nose and flowers and blowing your nose and flowers and flowers and blowing your nose.
Thanks.
So
Someone
Very
did this.
good.
Oh, I see. It's a reference to Charles and his hay fever.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
flowers.
yeah.
Sorry, that took me a while. I've seen. that.
Caitlin's come up with a acronym. Not
Already?
anagram. Yes.
Impressive.
Charles has a really lovely egg sandwich. Works.
Okay.
Works.
Right. Well, I
like-
think.
Right, are we ready to go?
I think we're there.
I want to tell you just before we start that this, it's taken us a year to do this, but we are finally going to do a Bible-themed quiz.
Wow. Oh,
This
God.
is a test, really. It's obviously because it's theme. This week's the theme is connecting with God. So, you know, it feels relevant. It will be impressive if anybody gets 8 out of 8 on this. There are some really tough ones, but this is like obscure Bible knowledge. And I want to see how well you two do on this one, actually. So let's have the
God.
first question.
We should have totally invited Richard to join this quiz. That would have been good.
Absolutely. Thanks, producer Ollie.
Thank you.
So here's question number 1. What happened to 42 of the young people who made fun of Elisha's baldness? So there's a story where Elisha gets mocked by a group of young people. Were they struck by lightning and killed? Were they mauled by 2 bears that came out of the woods? Were they attacked by a swarm of bees? Or did they fall into a pit of quicksand?
I put the wrong answer.
Quicksand as a child. Like
You
I'm
were what?
terrified of quicksand as a child. I don't think I've ever met quicksand. Not that it's a
It's
person.
a person. I've never met him either. He doesn't sound like a great guy, I'll be honest.
He sucks you in,
Well-
and then that's
Oh.
You
it.
know what? Only 5 people got this
What?
right.
It's the
2 bears come out of the woods and maul them. Can I just say, by the end of this, everybody's going to want to read the Bible because
Yeah.
I picked out all the
That
weirdest
does sound
stuff.
quite exciting. Wow. Well, Rupert he was instant. Like,
Yeah, how is that even possible?
So-
1,000 points.
so he must have instantly picked his answer. Like, he must have been. There's no way he could have. I reckon it was definitely a really good guess. Like, I don't see how you can process within a second. That's impressive.
That is impressive. All right, we'll see. Otherwise, this is obviously a very senior incarnation of the Rupert Pokemon. Let's have question number 2. With what unusual weapon did Shamgar
Oh god.
slay 600 Philistines? That sounds like another funk band, actually, Shamgar. Was it with a tent peg, a cattle prod, a whip made of tails, or the jawbone of a donkey?
I've always said that donkeys have a strong jawline. So
Have you always said that?
Yeah.
You just
It's always said that.
I've always said that, and I stand by it.
Yeah,
He has some weird sayings.
he does. That's one of the weirdest.
And 1 person got
Wow.
that right. And I'm intrigued to see whether it's Rupert the goat. But the answer is a cattle prod. Do you know who actually used the jawbone of a donkey to slay 1,000 Philistines?
Oh, no.
It was Samson.
Wow.
Ah. And then he went on to make phones and stuff.
Oh, no, Rupert didn't get that.
It wasn't. It was Geo the Great.
Ooh.
Is that how it's
All right, let's go. Next question.
Yes. Perfect.
Who walked barefoot and naked for 3 years at the Lord's command?
Charles.
Great photo on this one. Just in case you're now doing a double take at the screen, that is a naked mole rat,
Wow.
which I've always thought was one of nature's weirdest looking creatures. Anyway, who walked barefoot and naked for 3 years at the Lord's command? Was it Isaiah, Ezekiel, Adam, or Abraham?
I mean, I know Naked Mole Rat from Kim Possible. Sorry, carry on.
It was Isaiah, and 8 people got that right. So we're going to have some points on the scoreboard, I think.
Yes, I believe so. Let's have a look. Wow. Well, Rupert is still in the lead. However, Chloe is now in second. Eliza the pig is in third. Brummy Servant in fourth. And Charles's number one fan is in fifth. So, very exciting. I am in 34th place. So...
I'm in 15th, and I haven't got a single answer correct, so I'm still doing better
What?
than you.
How is that possible? What? How? What?
I love that.
Wow.
Just to add a bit of intrigue, someone's just pulled up in the church car park.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
So someone might join us in a second.
You might have to answer the door.
I might have to answer the door and put a mask on. Right, let's rattle through these. Come
Yeah.
on, next question. According to Old Testament law, what should you not cook a young goat in? Which of these should you not cook a young goat in? It's mother's milk, the fat of a pig, a pot made of copper, or an open fire.
How? What?
Mother's milk is mean. I think
Charles has actually done a absolutely bang on impression of that goat. You just do it again, Charles.
I can't wait.
It's uncanny that I've managed to find a goat that looks like Charles. It's mother's milk.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh, this is. What?
What's wrong, Ollie?
Well, I'm now in 36th place. Like, I'm literally couldn't be doing worse.
Should have read your Bible.
But anyway, Eliza is now in second. Well done, Eliza. Charles's fan is in third. Another Liza Hamilton is in fourth, and Hay Fever's pants is in fifth. So that is great.
I didn't know Hay Fever wore pants. That's amazing.
Charles, where are you?
I'm ninth,
Wow,
actually. So I'm in the top 10.
that is
So
impressive.
I'll take that.
Question number 5. In a battle against the Syrians, what killed 27,000 of them in the city of Aphek? Was it a deadly plague,
Come
an army of angels, a wall that fell on them, or an erupting volcano?
Well,
Just
Sorry,
feels a bit too soon.
That
to
feels
answer what-
quite a harsh one.
I haven't.
It's
I haven't.
photo.
Yeah, the photo is quite sad, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, just a moment for the Syrians. Just spare them.
Are
a
there any
moment.
volcanoes in the Bible? I've never heard of any volcanoes.
Oh.
So.
Pretty even, that even
How
split.
can 27,000 people be standing close to a wall that can
A big
kill them?
wall.
Yeah, big wall.
How big is this wall?
Maybe
Oh,
they were
the-
tiny people. You don't know them.
Wow. Well, it didn't feel logical at the time, Hannah. I'm sorry. Clearly, you knew something I didn't.
I just got a bit angry on behalf of the Syrians. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Ow.
It's too soon, Ollie. It's too soon.
Too soon.
Wait, I'm okay.
Right, what's the what did
Oh,
that
sorry.
do? to the
Yes,
score?
I forget. I need to click.
Oh,
Wow.
new leader.
Ooh.
Well, Hay Fever's pants is now in first place by quite a bit, so this is exciting. And Rupert Fire, the evolved version of the goat, is now on our leaderboard in fifth. So
Gosh, that's an exciting subplot.
can
isn't
I
it?
just say, I know nobody cares, but Zoom has just upgraded our meeting. So anyway, it felt relevant, and you know none of you are smiling, so now I take it back. Carry on. Let's go.
No, it's
Next
great.
question.
It's an answer.
Next question.
No, that's nice. I think it's the Lord.
Is
Who
it-
had a bed 13 and a half feet long by 6 feet wide? You're going to go for the obvious one. I know you are.
Oh, but that means it's not. Okay.
Or was I double bluffing you?
I swear, if it is Goliath, I will freak out. You know?
I like the name Og. That's a cute name. That's like a
I don't
friend.
like the fact that
OG.
You should call your firstborn Og.
No!
Hannah.
Thank you for that advice, Martin. I'm going to completely ignore it.
Og.
It was Og.
Og. Oggy,
Actually-
oggy, oggy. Wow,
Yeah.
that was great.
very specific. He was quite wide, wasn't he?
Wow. Well, in a sudden turn of events, Charles's number one fan and his second fan have made it onto the leaderboard in first and third. So that's very exciting.
Proud of you guys.
Yeah. Charles,
That's
what do you call your gaggle
Um,
of followers? The
The Meriteers.
The merit. Okay. Yeah. Well.
The Meriteers.
Yeah.
You've actually thought about that before, haven't you?
100%.
Question number 7. What was unusual about the 700 Benjamite soldiers from the tribe of Benjamin who could sling a stone and hit their target every time? Did they all have red hair? Were they all women? Were they all left-handed? Were they all blind?
Oh.
So Benjamite's like the tribe of Benjamin. I think I explained that already, didn't I?
Yes.
I don't know what that is. That's a tribe.
Did they have slingshots like that? I thought they had the ones where they go.
That's all right. I'm sorry, I didn't find the right photo.
No, I was just asking. It was a genuine.
Is that a
accurate
slingshot
photo.
though, Charles?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were all left-handed.
Oh, so close.
Actually, this is my least favorite quiz ever.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Sorry, I don't mean. I'm trying not to be negative, but I just keep going
debrief.
down. So yeah. But congratulations to the 8 people that did get that right. Well done.
Well, who were they? Let's see.
Let's have a look. Wow,
Oh.
wow, a lot of movement. Hay Fever's Pants is now in first place, and Sad Donald has made it into third place, and Chloe Pepper is in 4th, and Geo the Great is now in 5th. So well done.
Before you go to the last question,
Okay.
there's a bit of a fiendish twist on the final question, because not only is it a double pointer, it's also the hardest question we've ever had on any Kahoot we've ever done.
Great.
So I really feel like anyone could win from here. So it's quite exciting. So if you checked out,
Is it double points?
sit back up in your chair. Okay, it's double points, 2,000 points on offer.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I feel
So
like Sorry.
you could win from anywhere.
Well, I was going to cheat. No, I'm not going to. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Guys, it's getting hot in here. I'm going to turn down the heatomizer.
Oh, it started.
Double points. Who was killed by a wet blanket? Was it Athaliah, Jehoshaphat,
Oh.
Abijah, or Ben-Hadad?
What?
It's an Old Testament king character who was killed
He sounded made up. I'll be honest.
by a wet blanket. It's not made up. It's in the
Who did
Bible.
what? My dad?
Wah, 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 wah. Charles.
Please. Come on, Josepha.
Oh, there we go. So 9 of you got that right. Ben-Hadad is the
What did he
right
have?
answer.
Wow.
What did he have?
We had a dad.
Hadad, yeah. So that's
find
it's a
out.
great story. You should look it up. It's more, to be fair, I've made it sound weird than it was. It was sort of waterboarding, really. But maybe we should move on quickly. Let's see who won.
I thought you just meant like someone was a wet blanket and was like, oh, we couldn't do that.
In third
Okay,
place with only 3 out of 8 was sneezing. Oh no.
Chloe Pepper
Chloe.
in second.
And in first place was Hay Fever's
Fever's
Pants. That is brilliant.
What a
Well
group
done.
of names. Like they all work together. You've got
Wow.
Sneezy, Pepper, and Hay Fever. That's incredible.
That
Well
is
done.
great.
Well done,
to you
everyone.
guys.
Thanks for taking part in another Kahoot. Sorry, that was almost like something you'd imagine you'd get at a really, really like hardline conservative American Sunday school. But no, we repurposed it tonight for Satellites Live. Hannah.
Can I just share my favourite Bible fact, which I only read recently, is that there's a talking donkey in the Bible, and I dressed up as it for Christmas. I just wanted to share that when I was in Norway. Anyway, I just felt that was necessary. I'm sorry, your face is making me doubt myself, Martin. Okay,
There is.
okay, we are talking about spending time with God. And as we're doing these, and this name is vomit worthy, so it's okay if you vomit, lessons from lockdown, we're thinking about how we use this time to actually spend time with God and deepen our relationship with Him when there's so many other things we can be spending all of this free time that we've suddenly got, and how we use it to spend time with Jesus. Yeah. Do I have to do like an intro like you did, like a really cheesy like?
Yeah, you just go, and here we are. And you point to the
Here
screen.
we go.
Spending time with God. it's one of those phrases which immediately puts you on edge. When someone asks you, like, so how's your relationship with God? How's your Christian life? You know, when someone asks you that, if you're not a Christian, obviously you think, you're a bit weird. Why are you asking me that question? But if you are a Christian, you're immediately thinking, oh no, they're going to find out that whatever I say is going to be about 5 times as good as it actually is.
Yeah.
That's the truth, isn't it? Like, let's be really honest. It is difficult to spend time with God, and that's always been the case. Like, before we came into this time of pandemic, we've always found it difficult to spend time with God. And there's a reason why humans generally don't find it that easy, and it's because God is invisible. Like, I'm just going to put that out there. We just got to say this stuff. No one ever says this stuff. I'm probably going to get fired for saying this stuff, but God is invisible. And so going and actually spending time with him, it kind of takes discipline, doesn't it? It takes, you know, the ability to go and shut yourself in a room and open a book that is quite hard to understand. We'll talk about that more later. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Do you think, like, if we're really, is it just me?
No, it's not just you. No, I totally agree. And I think lockdown emphasised that to us. Because I think we'd got used to this routine of a Sunday morning or evening and a Wednesday. Yeah. Those are my time that I spend time with God. Yeah. And then I think when, you know, those crutches were taken away from us.
Yes.
And we suddenly realised, actually, was I spending time with God or was I spending time with other people?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like actually there's more to it than just turning up to something in order to spend time with God. There's got to be a heart towards it. There's got to be, you know, an attitude of, I'm actually going to spend time with him.
I think there's a real issue where we kind of stigmatize the idea that people might find it difficult. And so I think lots of us are just not honest with each other about how hard it is. So I went to a conference in the US once, and I knew one of the speakers. And so I went to see him for a meal before he was due to speak. And he kind of like confessed to me, he said, like, I just feel really guilty about something. He said, I'm about to speak to 5,000 people, and I really haven't spent any time with God in the last 6 months.
Wow.
Now, this was a guy who, like, for me, was right up there on a pedestal. You like somebody who really had his Christian life sorted, and yet he hadn't spent time in the Bible and praying and kind of just trying to connect with God for such a long time. That was mind-blowing for me, but actually also I think it's really helpful that we admit, that all of us admit, that sometimes it's not that easy. Now, we're not going to leave it there today, but that's our starting point, that it is difficult. So the first question is this: how easy or difficult do you find it to spend time with God?
So that first question, how easy or actually how difficult do you find it to spend time with God? You send in your answers on the chat or on our poll, but I'm going to throw to Charles. Go. How easy or how difficult is spending time with God?
Yeah, I think I say it in the video. It depends on how busy you are, and that sort of, like, I don't know, sometimes I get really busy and it's harder, and I find myself just getting distracted a lot. There's always a distraction. There's always something that I want to watch, or So I think it is hard, but it's worth doing, and so therefore it's something that I try and when I remember it, I'm like, okay, I need to do that, rather than go, oh, I'll do it some other time. If that makes sense.
Definitely. I can see people typing, but no one's replied. This is really exciting.
It's very exciting, isn't it?
There's also the opportunity to respond anonymously at polev.com/satelliteslive. We think, but because I'm running it, it may not be working properly. So someone could try, that'd be great.
What about you, Hannah? How easy/difficult do you find spending with God?
I find it very easy if I'm with other people, or I'm in church, or I'm somewhere Christian-y, or somewhere that isn't my house. But I find it really hard in my house. I get very self-conscious about it, which is weird because my family is Christian, but I get very, weird doing it at home. So I think it's easier for me when I'm not in my house. Oh, someone's come in and said it depends on the mindset. It's never super easy, but sometimes it's really hard to feel motivated. I think that's very true. Totally depends where your head's at with it, but often it's when you're really not with it and you're not feeling motivated that spending time with God has the best impact on your mood, or does the most change or perceived change in that time.
Yeah. Someone else has just said, it depends on my day. If I was really busy or tired, I find it hard to shut off and just get in my zone. It's sort of it's similar thing. Or they just followed it up saying, I normally do this through music. Yeah, music's a really good way of getting that. Although sometimes I find that music can be distracting. Like you start just listening to music rather than actually trying to spend time with God. Like you're just like, oh, this is a nice tune. And then you start planning a music video and stuff. That's just me.
I've got something here from somebody who has anonymously got in touch to let us know that they shower every day, and that is very important. It's important to shower every day. They actually say in the shower, because I shower every day, just making that very clear, but it's also really private. And yeah, it's quite a good place. Like I often find going in the shower or something is actually quite a good place to talk to God. Or something I've started doing recently is, because if you've got your headphones in, people think you're like talking to someone on a call. And so you can just walk around talking to God, and people just think you're on a call. That's quite fun.
I'm just going to say that's totally a spoiler for the next part, by the way. And also now I'm really annoyed because you totally make fun of me in the next part of this video for doing exactly that. You mercifully make fun of me. So I'm not very happy about this.
Wow.
I feel like we need to watch the video before this relationship gets worse. So can we play the next video?
So we've been honest. We've said that spending time with God isn't always the easiest thing. That was certainly true before the pandemic. How has it been for you, Charles, in the last year or so, trying to do that, trying to build your relationship with and connection with God?
Yeah, I won't lie and say that it was easy. It's definitely been harder. You have to be a lot more proactive in it. I'm lucky because I have life groups and I have, my job is revolved around God. So there's moments where I'm almost forced to spend time with him. Yeah. But in terms of privately, it's been really difficult. And especially, I think as we've gone on in lockdown, we spent more time with ourselves. We're desperate for distractions. Yeah. We're desperate for content to drop on Disney Plus so that we've got something to do in our evenings or whatever it is. But I will say that going out to exercise, that 1 hour thing of, that's the only way I can get out of the house, is if I do pretend to do some exercise, go for a walk, has been really useful. And what I've been doing is leaving my phone either at home, or if I'm going to walk at night, then I'll put it in my pocket, but I don't look at it, and I just keep it there. The temptation for me was always to take my headphones and listen to worship music and pretend that I was spending time with God. But actually, by removing that distraction, has helped me a lot more just to be silent and to just walk and listen and talk. And the great thing about going out into the countryside, if you're lucky enough to do so, is you can talk out loud and there's no one around to think you're crazy.
But then you turn a corner.
It's awkward.
And there's some guy who's out doing the same thing.
I used to pray on the bus, but I would have my mobile phone. And I'd be like, hey, so I'm just thinking about this.
So God, I just really praise you, and people would have thought you were even more crazy.
Well, I did it muffled, but if they heard the audio tones, it wasn't as weird as someone just talking to themselves on the bus, I guess.
You're great. So, for me, the experience of the last year has been kind of like, it was a story in two parts. So the first lockdown, as it were, the first period from sort of March in 2020, I found that I really struggled to connect with God. I made myself as busy as possible. I tried to replace the busiest, what we were talking about last week, really tried to replace the busyness rather than seeing it as an opportunity to spend time with God. And the second time that we were forced into this, I think maybe I could take no more. And maybe this time I kind of learned some of the lessons. What I've done in the last maybe 6 months is I've tried to do something in my life called, and this is our little phrase for the week, a rule of life. Now, a rule of life, again, goes back to, we were talking last week about the monks.
Yes.
I love the monks. We're going to talk about the monks a lot, I think, in this little series. But it goes back to something the monks do, which is they have a list of things, a list of rules for how they're going to live every day. And it's a mix of stuff that's like good for their body, good for their soul, good for their brain, and they try and have a good balance of activities. And they're going to do, a certain number of prayers. They're going to do a certain number of kind of engagements with the Bible. They're going to eat well. They're going to sleep well. All of this stuff. Well, I think we can adapt this for ourselves, and that's what I've done over the last 6 months. So every day I have a kind of list of things that I make sure I do every day, and include that list has been reading the Bible, which we're going to talk about in the last section, and spending some time in prayer. And what's really interesting is just being intentional about every day, making sure you do it day after day after day, having it as part of that wider system of kind of staying healthy. It's amazing how it becomes a habit, and then it just puts you into a better place. Eventually, it will, of course, put you into a much better place. But on earth, it does make you feel much more sort of whole, and like you've got some sort of momentum to your life. So that's my recommendation to you, Charles.
Oh, nice.
And
just,
also to everyone else.
And just like a monk, you get into the habit of things. Habit, it's what they wear.
My family will be watching this,
Yeah.
and they'll all be making jokes about the fact that I'm just developing ever so slightly a bald patch at the back. So they, of course, will also be making monk jokes right now. But I've got a question for you at home now, and it's about this idea of a rule of life. So if it's just a simple set of habits that you're going to commit to every day, what would a simple rule of life look like for you? So I've got a question for you, Charles.
Okay.
How do you feel about
Yes, gorgeous. Okay, question number 2. What would a simple rule of life look like for you? And before I pass to Charles, I just want to focus on the word simple. Because if you're anything like me, as soon as you start thinking about this, you're like, I'm going to get up at 5, I'm going to read my Bible for an hour, and then I'm going to do a run, and then I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast, and then I'm going to pray whilst I'm doing it, and then I'm going to save the world and do simple rule of life. Okay. Charles.
Thank you. What an introduction. My new rule of life that I literally adopted last week. We had an amazing conversation with Wendy Gregory. I don't know whether anyone knows her. And she said that every morning she wakes up and says, I give this day over to you. That's the first thing she says to God. I mean, technically the first thing she says is, morning, gorgeous God. And then she carries on with the rest of the day. But that's what she says at the start of the day. And then at the end of the day, instead of praying and saying, please, can you do this? Please look after this. She just ends the day saying thank you for stuff. And I've adopted that, and I've now stolen that. And now every night, instead of doing like a massive prayer of, oh, please look after this situation and getting myself worked up about it, just giving thanks for the good stuff in the day. And that's been amazing in terms of spending time with God, but also just for my own mental health too.
I've started doing that as well, and I have to actively not look at my phone before I've done it, and that I find that really helpful. Having a rule in my head not to look at my phone until I've spoken to God is a simple way.
Yeah.
Starting to get some answers in and thoughts from people. Remember, you can comment anonymously at polev.com. And someone's just said, put God first each day on a morning walk. That's a nice thought, isn't it?
It's a good way.
A great way of starting the day.
Someone else has said, just to slow down without distraction and spend time with God, as so often we are trying to fit so many things in, is really important as well. That's great.
Someone's put on the chat, smile at everyone. Seriously, just smile at everyone. It's free, easy, make sure everyone feels happy and loved. I know it's not a Christian thing, but it's great. And I think that's beautiful, and it's doing something to your mindset that then means you're there. If you're happy and you're smiling and that's your attitude, then that's absolutely gorgeous and can really help you connect with God, because it's affecting the way you're thinking. So that's beautiful.
Someone says there's a lot of hygiene stuff this week. It's really interesting. this week somebody said, pray when you brush your teeth. Simple but effective. Yeah, that's a good thing. Always use the time when you brush your teeth to have a pray. So you could pray when you're in the shower. You could pray when you brush your teeth. And you basically could construct a whole morning around, like getting sparkly clean inside and out.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I think that is really true though, because it's something you do every day. And so often we need a prompt to remind us to do stuff. So building it around what already exists in our life can sometimes be so much easier than trying to start an entire routine from scratch.
Yeah. And also you've got at least 2 minutes there of praying. If you're brushing your teeth, should be twice a day. Actually, that's 4 minutes twice a day, isn't it?
You sound like a really angry dentist. So I'm going to read out one of the other comments we had, because I don't like dentists. Someone said they've been getting signs lately for their future and thanking God for that. And that's also true, because so much of our time when we build habits, it's kind of focused around what we're doing and what we're doing. So actually stopping and saying, thank you, God, for what you've already done. I think that's a gorgeous thing to incorporate into your day.
Oh gosh, I'm just so happy that the sitcom is writing itself. So Charles is a angry dentist with hay fever, and we've already sorted the theme music. I mean, this is turning into my favorite ever episode of Satellites Live.
I can't believe it. You literally say all of that in the next video that we're about to watch. I just can't. Why do you keep ruining these videos?
Okay, let's go to the next video then. Gorgeous.
So I've got a question for you, Charles. Okay. How do you feel about the Bible?
Oh, you've asked me this one before, and it's always awkward. I love the Bible. The Bible's great. I read it every night, and I manage to do it all the time.
Great. Is that true?
That's not 100% true. No, I struggle with the Bible. It's hard to know where you get into it, which bit do you read, where have you going. Recently, I've started going through all the letters. Not of the alphabet, like just got, there's a Z. But as in going through all of Paul's letters, so like Romans, Ephesians. I found them really encouraging actually, because they're practical to where they're speaking to a time which we can kind of build back from and relate to. But it's difficult because it's not Jesus going around going, did you see that film on Amazon Prime? Well, let me give you an example of that film and how that relates to God.
That would be weird though, because if he had, there'd have been centuries where the Bible made no sense, and then suddenly it would now.
Oh,
yeah, that's what he was talking about.
The show as seen on the Bible. Yeah. But and I think it's hard to try and put it into context, and also it's a book.
Yeah.
And don't know whether this is controversial, but books are quite old-fashioned.
Books are quite old-fashioned?
Well, as in, we've got media now, which is phones and it's technology-based. And a book is this, I know you can read it on your phone and stuff, but, but going to a book is not the first thing that I think of doing in the evening or whenever. Like, my first thought is, maybe I could play some PlayStation now or something like that.
Yeah. And that's very true. That's very true for lots of people. I think, getting back to what we said before, it's one of those things where you get out of the habit, and then when you're out of the habit, it's really hard to just get back into the Bible. So what I would really recommend is trying to develop a daily Bible reading habit. And I know that sounds really hard, but honestly, a couple of tips. One tip is, you don't have to read it. You can use audio Bibles. You can listen to the Bible being read by brilliant voices, distinguished actors. David Suchet. But also, what I've found really helpful is just trying to make some notes each day. Even taking just a journal and just writing a few lines of your own thoughts about what you've read really helps your brain to cogitate and make sense of it a bit more. And so I would recommend that. So you can have an audio Bible and a journal. You don't need to go anywhere near a paper Bible. Apart from, you do need the paper book for the journal.
Sorry, what does cogitate mean?
Cogitate's a word.
Wow.
Look it up.
That's incredible. Is that what reading the Bible helps?
I'm going to give you, as we finish this week, a little verse from the Bible.
Okay.
There's a story that I really like, and it's the story of Mary and Martha. And they both spend some time with Jesus, and they both want to keep really busy. And Mary just wants to sit at Jesus' feet, and Martha's getting busy kind of all around. And Jesus says, "But few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Now, we can find lots of really busy things to fill our lives with, but the Bible says the most important thing you can do is spend time with Jesus. And so, why are you finding that so funny?
You said you weren't going to drop the piece of paper, and you did. Sorry.
Look, you've just broken the fourth wall. Just because I dropped my notes. That was a stunt. That's the closest we get to a stunt. We're not having an edit there.
No, you were doing really well.
Oh, I did do well. Anyway, the point of this week is try and spend some time with Jesus, and hopefully some of those tips that we've given you have been helpful. Unfortunately, the last question is printed on the sheet of paper, which I've now dropped too far away.
Do you want me to read mine?
Would you tell me what the question
Yes,
is?
let me just go down here and pick up my piece of paper. What's your experience of reading the Bible?
Okay, so what is your experience of reading the Bible? I'm going to read through some of your responses in a moment, but I want to be brutally honest before we do. Until about September, I didn't really read the Bible. I read one quote to put it on my wall, or a quote because I was doing a talk about it, but I didn't have any regular habits of reading the Bible or reading it for any other purpose than to quote it in some other context. And it wasn't until I was in Norway and I was forced to read, not forced, it was gorgeous, but I read the entire Bible, and it was only then that it kind of started to make sense to me, and I was able to understand the whole picture and laugh at all the inside Bible jokes that I'd never understood because I'd never read the Bible. So I think a lot of the time people get nervous about starting or get nervous about how to read it or what to do it, and I feel like saying just read it. It doesn't matter how much or how little you read or how much or how little you understand, but just to open it and start. That was long, but I feel like there should be no shame in how much or little you read the Bible, because it is God's word and it's a gift to us. So as long as we're opening it and exploring it, it honestly doesn't matter.
That's great that you said that, Hannah, because I think often we can kid ourselves that it's one of those things where everyone else is brilliant at it and we're not. And actually, most people find reading the Bible quite tricky, and some people find it absolutely impossible and can't find a way in at all. And I think you actually admitting that you found it really difficult, even though people look at you and think, Hannah, Holy Hannah, they call her around these parts. You know, if she's not actually found it all that easy, then maybe there's hope for me too. So also, it's great that we can all be let in on all those private Bible jokes that people have been making.
Wow.
You know, that's the thing everyone's been missing by not reading the Bible.
Yeah, like that time that you told me that you were killed by a wet blanket, and it's like, I had no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Oh, someone said on the group chat that it was really fascinating, and I learned a lot after reading a few pages, and that is beautiful. It is. It's fascinating. It's dense, and even the littlest dip in can give you so much knowledge and revelation, and yeah, it's lush.
Yeah, someone else has put, there's a certain verse I read a lot, but I sometimes pick it up, pray just really generally, and then I will randomly open the Bible, believe God will have guided me to the passage I really need right then. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, be careful sometimes. Be careful with that, because you could end up on a page which is completely wrong and not actually what God wants to do. Sometimes just be careful, but it is a great way to just try and find new bits of the Bible that you wouldn't necessarily think of if you do that. So that's always a good thing as well.
Somebody said on Poll Ev, some bits of the Bible are pretty dull or feel irrelevant to today, especially the Old Testament. And I think that, so we have to I think we have to defend it a little bit, guys. Like, there are definitely bits of the Bible that are less interesting, like the long lists of names or the long lists of journeys through places. But actually, I've found the more of the Old Testament I've read, the more I've realized that that's not the majority of it. Like, I think actually that's some bits, and we can get a bit fixated on the idea that the Bible's full of these boring long lists. But actually, there are relatively few, and there are way more interesting stories sometimes it's just good to have a little bit of an idea of what books to gravitate towards and what books might be a bit heavier on the lists of things. I think 2 Chronicles is basically just a long list of lists. Maybe we don't start there. But anyway.
Yeah, I've started reading Jeremiah, and at the same time I'm reading Romans. And what I found really interesting, so I read 1 chapter of Jeremiah and 1 chapter of Romans. And what I found really interesting is often in Jeremiah it's a little bit heavier, mainly because Jeremiah is all about people being in exile and not knowing when life will return to normal. That sounds familiar. And then Romans is like is like a call and response. Each time I read it, it's like, oh, that was quite hard work. And then I read Romans and it's like, oh, it's speaking into that situation that I've literally just read about. And it's amazing. And obviously Romans and Jeremiah were written completely separately and not linked in any way, really. But actually there's benefits of reading the Old Testament because it's a call and response. The Old Testament is like the call and the response is the New Testament. And so we need to understand those bits. And those lists are really important, as you said, Martin. Like, some of those lists help us to understand that Jesus comes from the line of David and that fulfills a prophecy which God made ages ago. And like, there's some mind-blowing bits when you read the Old Testament in line with the New Testament, it can completely change your view of the Bible, I think.
Romans and Jeremiah could be the names of the cats that belong to the dentist in the Charles sitcom. Someone didn't say on the chat. I listen to the Bible in a Year podcast. Otherwise, I find I just read the same parts all the time. That's great. So yeah, podcasts, audio Bibles. There's loads of resources available, as we said on the video, that will help you get into the Bible. If the idea of sitting and opening a book is a bit daunting, and actually we have different learning styles, don't we? So it's different for all of us.
Bible Project. Sorry, I'm just going to shout that out on YouTube. If you don't understand a book of the Bible, go to Bible Project. They do like a rundown of each of the books and explain it in a way which will blow your mind in so much detail. And it helps you fully understand what it's about. It gives you historical context and all sorts. Really recommend watching those videos and then read it so that you have the knowledge of what the book's really about. And then you can read it and kind of have that knowledge in the back of your head as you read it as well. That's a good advice too.
Because we had one message on the chat saying, honestly, a lot of the time it feels quite detached and irrelevant. And I think knowing what the book is about can solve that. So like a lot of the prophets books in the Old Testament, you read it and it's talking about a man who walks naked or someone who's gone and done stuff. And when you know the context and you know it's God calling these people back because he loves them, or you know what the story is, it can help you realise that it's not irrelevant, although it seems it, if you don't know what's going on. So it's really helpful to get another view, or just text someone who's older and wiser and knows more and say, what is this book about? Why is this guy doing this thing? Talk about it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So guys, hope that was helpful, got you thinking about the habits and the sort of way of living that you might want to take out of this time of lockdown into everyday life when all things restart up again and we move into a new normal. What are some of the healthy spiritual habits you're going to set for yourselves? Maybe have a little bit of think now about what targets you want to have for that, or what habits you want to set for yourself. Because if you don't make those decisions now when life is just a little bit calmer, you definitely won't do it when life gets busy again. Anyway, thanks. Lovely discussion, everyone. Thanks very much. We've just got time for the second part of our other Kahoot, where we find out what you looked excited then, Charles, and then deflated.
I thought maybe we'd have time for Charles's game time this week, but
there's no time for that.
Just never have time for
No, there's no time for that. But we do have time for what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Thanks, Charles. And you'll need to log into Kahoot for that. So let's see how many people have stayed with us. We're going to have a Kahoot code in just a moment. It's 745-0582. And this is a simple poll. We are basically finding out what you are looking forward to as the world opens up again. So it's a little bit like Rank Your Thanks. You remember that?
Yeah.
You're not going to do the song again?
No, not this week.
Right.
I've already sung a song now.
I'm ready to yawn.
What?
So I was just thinking the other day, like, I miss like being able to just yawn and not be like, I feel like, you know, holding in a yawn, trying to suppress a yawn is honestly, I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it's hard. And like, you can't just walk around now and yawn. So I'm excited for the day when I can, why are you guys laughing? When I can walk back through Reigate and, you know, maybe just yawn here and there. And anyway, we've got people
so
signing
bored.
up. We've got some new names signing up. Let's yep. Okay.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to yawn. Someone just signed up. I'm ready to yawn.
See, they're ready to yawn. I'm ready to yawn. We're all ready to yawn.
Oh, you turned it into a catchphrase.
So
Good
yeah,
job.
exactly. You know, I'm sure
I've
we'll
actually
be
got
yawning.
really good at covering up yawning now. I'm not gonna lie. It was after a meeting that I had with Katie Cornish once, where I tried to stifle it subtly, and she went, "Did you just yawn?" I was like, "No," and it was really awkward, and I totally was. So after that, I've been practicing. So Katie, when you need a meeting next, this time, I'm prepared.
Wow.
Do you know that yawning's one of those things? It's addictive, or not addictive. What's the word? Contagious. That's it.
Contagious.
If someone yawns, you have the overwhelming urge to yawn.
Yeah,
But
why is that?
Well, what's weirder is me talking about yawning and saying the word yawn is making everyone watch this feel like they want to yawn. Yes,
I can tell Ollie why we do that. It's because when we were cavemen or whatever, in order to, because it brings in oxygen
Yes.
to help with like the oxygen, so they would yawn to breathe it in, and then it's like a cry, like a sort of like, oh, he's about to attack, so I'm gonna have to yawn in order
That's
to
made me-
defend. There you go.
Yeah, Caitlin just yawned. I've yawned. We're all going to be yawning in a minute.
Did you just say, Charles? Did you just say when we were cavemen? When we were cavemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get some emails about that.
I know. I said or whatever
Or whatever.
Okay,
to make it less.
I feel like
Get on with
anyone
this.
living in a cave is a caveman. That's fine. People have lived in.
Jesus was born in.
That's
Okay.
fine. It's
Kind of.
fine.
When we go
Yeah.
to Satellites Festival, we can all be yawning in an awning.
In the
Just saying.
morning.
In the morning.
Morning.
Yes. Boom.
Let's
Right,
get
we're
started.
going for it. Okay, so we're going to find out what you're waiting for, and you've got to choose between these two options. What are you looking forward to most about these two things when we come out of lockdown? And now we've got some dates for that. It's exciting. So, which of these are you most looking forward to? Meeting up in a small group inside, or meeting up in a big group outside? Which of those are you more looking forward to?
100%. 100% small group. Hate people.
You also are
No.
in danger of flowers outside, so I guess
Oh, that is true.
that's
Yeah.
high risk for you, Charles.
It is, and I'm looking forward. I'm a bit gutted that come 29th of March or whatever, I'm gonna have to see more than one person. That's not good for me.
Yeah.
Not what I want
Oh,
in my
I
life. I mean, I want to see you guys, as in like our young people.
doesn't really sound like you do. That's the thing. You've
I wanna
sort of
see
dug
them.
yourself a little hole there.
But they're cool. It's just everyone else I don't want to see.
Right, let's have a look at where the split is on this.
Let's have a look. Ooh.
People are with me.
Interesting.
69% says meeting in a small group inside. So,
I'm really stifling a yawn.
so yeah, I already yawned. It's great.
It's clever, isn't it? It's nothing to do with cavemen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, meeting up in a small group inside, 18 of you. Okay, so that wins and goes through to the next round. Let's have the second question. Which of these are you most looking forward to? Satellites restarting in person,
Yes.
or church restarting in person?
Are we voting for satellites at St Mary's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, satellites this
I'm excited. for this.
in person, or are you more looking forward to like being in church and singing the songs and being with the whole church family? There's no wrong answers here.
There is.
Well,
Not voting.
got him.
What are you looking forward to more, Hannah?
I want to sing. I also, you get free biscuits at church, so
Oh.
I just want to walk into the evening service with a tea and a biscuit and do some singing with my arms in the air, and then sit and continue to eat my tea and my biscuit.
Yeah, what happened to when satellites gave everyone hot chocolates when they came to an evening service? Like,
Yes, Ollie.
you know,
Yeah.
Were
we
there custard creams?
Yeah, but satellites, you get a full meal. There's no.
We're
that-
over time.
that is
Let's
true.
see how this one broke down.
Right. Ooh. Well, 77. Sorry? 77. So. I keep saying 70. 70, just on the dot, percent. Said 90. I don't know. Go ahead.
Just
Somebody
breathe
else.
it through.
Yeah. Go ahead, Martin. Satellites returning. Very exciting.
Great. Okay. Well, look, we make it through to the next round. How exciting! We've never been in it
That's
before.
great.
Let's do one more.
Yes.
Actually,
Two
the
more.
next one is: which of these are you most looking forward to? Retail shops reopening, or coffee shops reopening? So places to go and buy like clothes, and there's loads of stuff you can't like.
Now,
There's loads of those shops in Reigate that don't sell anything. Do you know what I
I
mean?
love the shops. Those are my favorite shops.
You know what I mean by that? The shops that sell like candles
oh,
and
yes.
picture frames and
You are
nothing at
very
all.
male, Martin. They sell a lot of lovely things.
They
And
do.
they're gorgeous. But I guess your choice is not white framed mirrors with pretty hearts and love all over your room.
No, one of our young people gave me this candle. I've made an absolute mess of it because I don't understand candles because I've never had one before. But I'm very appreciative.
Charles was stressing because he didn't know whether he needed to straighten out the wax or like cut the thing. He's
Too
been,
curved.
yeah,
It was annoying.
it's sunk.
So I pushed it down with my thumb and now it's just a mess.
Some of the problems that you faced in your life are truly devastating, Charles. I don't know how
you know what? I think you'd have the sitcom, but then you'd also have the true story, which is
Yeah.
really sad
Yeah.
and
Grace.
There'd be a
heartbreaking.
disclaimer at the bottom if you've been affected by any of
Yes.
the.
Yeah. Let us know if you've been infected by candles like Charles has.
Could you imagine that plays out at the end of the Charles sitcom every week? You've been affected by the issues discussed in this week's episode. Please
Candle
complete the action
smoothness.
line.
Is it a joke? To donate to candlesmoothness.co.uk, please ring this number.
Most
Sorry.
people were excited about shops reopening rather than places to meet. We rather lost sight of what we were doing.
Yeah.
22 people, that was overwhelming. And let's go to the final one quickly.
Let's do it.
Which of these are you most looking forward to? Cinemas and theatres reopening, or concerts and festivals?
Ooh.
Cinemas.
Cinemas for you, Charles. What about you, Hannah?
Concerts. I hate the cinema. I know this has
Oh,
ruined
what?
friendship with Charles.
Yeah.
And probably you as well. I can't.
And
you
me.
walk in with,
I
like,
hate
strangers,
you.
Too much popcorn, and then you need to go to the loo, but you can't because you're going to upset someone, and then the film is
Yeah,
too
you've
big.
upset us.
Was it? And then I'd rather just sit with friends and like Netflix and like Ben and Jerry's, and it's nice.
Hannah, have you ever needed the loo at a concert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. You found yourself a good position at the front, and then you need the loo, and you're in a quandary. Do I try and make my way to the back of the stadium and may never get back?
Yeah.
Never mind concerts, Martin. At a festival, where do you go to the toilet? Probably the worst place in the world, a portaloo. That is like, no one wants that. I know that that's not what the question is which is the worst place to have a toilet, but it's fundamentally just wrong. But
I
I'm
bet
glad
there's
we're
good
better.
stories about. There's got to be some good comedy stories about you getting yourself into a bit of a tiz in a toilet somewhere.
I hate toilets. There is. Can I tell you a story about toilets really quickly?
Absolutely. Just to close this off, cinemas and theatres make it through to next week, and we'll work out some way of doing a semi-final and a final. Charles.
I never really went to the toilet at school because I didn't like public toilets because I don't like people. And so I would always save it for when I got home. But one time I was like absolutely desperate. And so mid-lesson, I put my hand and I was like, can I go to the toilet? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And I went into the boys' toilet. And as I opened, there was a guy just stood by the sink. And I was like, oh, sorry, like, because automatically I was already like, oh no, like, how am I going to get to the toilet without them hearing me and all of that sort of stuff. And then I like looked to my left where the stalls are, and the stall doors open, and his friend is sat there on the toilet, and they're just having like a casual chat to one another. And I like kind of have to like walk past this and like hide myself by the urinals. And then I saw them at a party and they went, oh, you're the guy from the toilets. And it was the weirdest moment of my life.
Wah. Charles. If you've been affected by any of the issues discussed in this evening's episode of Charles, please call the St Mary's Reigate Church Centre. Look, that is almost it for another edition of Satellites Live. It's been a good one tonight. I've enjoyed it. Sorry we've gone a little bit over time. Charles, would you do a little prayer for us at the end?
Love to do a prayer. I'll also just plug that we will put Game Time on the Instagram, seeing as it's just never going to make it to air here. I mean, it's all right. It's not like we put a load of effort into it. Anyway, dear Lord, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for the fun, the laughter, and the silly names, and all the rest of it. Thank you that we can still meet virtually, and I'm so grateful for the fact that soon we may be able to even meet in person. And I just pray that this week we'll be able to put in these rules of life to help us spend more time with you. I pray that when we do that we'll receive the blessing from you, that we will feel connected to you, that when we read our Bibles, when we pray, when we listen to worship music, we feel closer to you, and we receive your Holy Spirit in order to fill our lives, but also in order to bless those around us as well. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.